When people think of Melbourne, they think of Flinders Street Station.
It's history and discovering history, and I think that's exciting.
It's a very important project for the people of Melbourne. The building has had a history of 100 years. We're now part of that history.
The project is about making sure the building is watertight so that no further deterioration occurs. We've also fixed up the exterior and repainted new colours.
The state saw a need to put some effort into lifting the building again. There was water ingress inside the rooms, and the facade was seen to be a bit old. The last time it was done was for the Commonwealth Games. That's where we really started talking to specialists in the industry.
Our role in the Flinders Street Station project has been to survey and assess the condition of the building. We were able to establish from newspaper accounts that it's been painted at least 5 times since it was originally painted around the early 1910s. The building, while shades have varied, has been typically repainted consistently in stone colours to the render and dark greens to the woodwork.
A lot of work went behind the scenes to make sure we had the right people for the job, pressed metalworks, carpentry work, brickwork. The building's currently covered in scaffolding.
We've had to develop a scaffold that cantilevered off the side of the building. It was such a huge win for the project because we were able to separate ourselves completely from the rail corridor. It took 3 months to design.
The first few stages was the southwest and the whole of the Flinders Street Station south. Just organising the materials. It was very tough. You've not got a big yard to load materials in. Logistics was pretty tough.
All of the metal work on the facade you see behind, the brickwork, all of that's been fully restored, brought back to the condition that it was when it was built in 1910.
I think 99% of Victorians wouldn't realise that the southern facade of the building is all metal. Our job was to go along and remove all the rust out of the building, refold the metal.
The lead's very malleable, you can see it. It's very heavy as well. So you can see the cuts in along here and to put the flaps of lead so we can wrap the lead down and around on this external cornice.
Well, we got asked to rebuild an acroterium. We were asked, have you ever built one before? No one has. Well, what proof that we got that you can actually do it? None. But I think I can, and we have. It's all hand-operated, foot-operated, no electricity used, just like they did back in the late 1800s.
Everything you look at, you're going, wow, they really used to build like this.
The trades that we have on site at the moment are being more innovative with their design solutions. The carpentry work is amazing.
There's more than 700 windows in this building. It's detailed work. The cuts have to be perfect. We try not to alter too much. It depends on how much actually needs to be done to each individual window. I'm sure in a couple of years I'll be able to say, Flinders Street Station. It's just a great thing to have worked on.
We have a number of different windows at different stages of repairs. Here's one of the oculis, which are in the domes. These are all getting repaired and replaced with new glazing put in.
The boys who I've got working for me, some of them have been with me for 16 odd years, they actually then filter down and teach the other boys who come on their knowledge. This is without doubt the biggest job we've ever taken on.
Due to the extent of saturation that's happened on this building, this is a good example of the dry rot that they're having to deal with throughout the structure. Rather than replacing the whole window, the guys will actually cut out the rotted section and then replace it with a new piece of timber to suit the existing frame.
These are the sort of projects that don't come up very often. We work very closely with Development Victoria in the capacity of a managing contractor on the projects. We identified that there are a very niche amount of trades that can do the sort of work that was required to be done here. It's about the right contractors with the right experience to do the right job within this precinct.
This is the gymnasium. As you can see, it's a double span structure.
We're upgrading some of the seismic or earthquake strengthening in the building to make the building more resilient if we do ever have a seismic event in Melbourne.
As structural engineers, how do we get the best protection, seismic protection for the building? And what that does is it protects the building from tilting in a worst case scenario. This is one of the 4 clock faces on the 7th floor of the clock tower. We're changing some of this, so we're making safe access so people can come in and maintain the clock and the mechanisms quite easily and succinctly.
We're doing a lot of the repointing of the bricks. There's a few different methods for that. We certainly are passing on skills from person to person. We've got a father and 2 of his sons working on the project.
My father and my brother have been working with me the whole time, so it's been a family affair. Such a large building with black lines is quite a rarity, actually. It was done in what we call an Edwardian style. Don't get to do something as big as this every day, and that makes it something special.
Passing on that knowledge down through the generations is important, otherwise we wouldn't be able to maintain these buildings and keep them in the shape that they're in today.
We're only really intervening to stop the domes from leaking.
The hailstorm that came across Melbourne about 7 years ago, this is where there was a lot of hail punches came in to this copper dome here, and you can see where the guys have fixed it all up. This is the dome at the top of the clock tower. All the domes at Flinders Street were originally painted black. They're refabricating some of the copper work around the outside.
The first big project I did was this one about 22 years ago. This is actually stained glass paint, which means it's fired in a kiln. The most difficult thing is just you cannot get this glass anymore. And to make a piece that's going to harmonise with all the originals is really difficult. It's got to look right. Once it's on there for good. Someone like me actually designed this and put this together. You can see the decisions that they've made 100 years ago.
There's a long road to go. There's a lot more work to happen in the precinct. There's work to be done on the concourse. There's work to be done on the rest of the building internally. It's a beacon for the City of Melbourne and for Victoria to see this building back as it was. It's just been a great collaborative effort.
This is a big project with lots of different trades, heritage elements, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime project.
It's a really collaborative, really well-bonded team, and I think that's the most exciting part. Everyone's so passionate about the building, the workmanship, and making sure the workmanship lasts through time.